We start planning for our kids from the minute we have them. And I grew up with a single mother, so for me, to rely on anyone else aside from myself is an anathema, right? I have to focus on myself. So already I'm thinking and talking to her about earning money and investing it. Nothing is free in life, not even freedom. And while we talk about women speaking up and standing up for themselves, the fact remains that unless you're financially independent, you have to toe the line drawn by the hand that writes the check.
Yes.
So we are very lucky that we have a tribe of women who not only expect a seat at the table, but pull up chairs for other women to join in. But there's still a lot of catching up to do, which is why we have this lovely panel here to talk about a dreaded topic, money. It makes the world go round, it makes people's heads go round. But we want to talk about how women can be financially independent, self-reliant. And for that, we have the formidable Faye D'souza, this wonderful girl, Neha Dhupia, and sorry, Amrit, we're not going to hug you.
I can pass it on. Hi, Amrit. Very nice to meet you.
Amrit Singh, the CFO of Max Life. And I believe Max Life has been instrumental in helping women becoming self-reliant. And they have a motto, right? Protection, front foot pay.
That's right. Protection, front foot pay.
So to begin, I mean, we've all been working. I don't know, how many years have you been in the workforce?
So I started my first job, actually, my first paycheck was 1998. Little jobs to large jobs that pay me like little amount of money to like very little money.
Yeah, I've been working for 30 years. I think I started when I was 17.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't remember my first paycheck. It was a pittance. I think it was enough to just buy laddus and say I've earned something. But I do remember my first significant paycheck, and I put it down to buy a car, silver Opel. I don't know if they even make that car anymore.
No, they don't.
That's how old I am.
But at that point, I would imagine that getting one of those, I remember it was called what, Opel Astras.
Yeah.
Was quite a big thing.
I had to take an EMI to pay the rest off.
Even that, I think there's courage there. There's courage there.
What about you, Faye? When did you start working?
So, my first regular job was when I was in college. I used to read the news on All India Radio.
Oh, wow.
And I was a late night radio jockey. I would get paid 300 rupees a shift from there. That was my first job.
Wow.
What did you do with your first paycheck?
So I had taken a loan to do my master's, and I was using the paycheck to pay off the interest on the loan so it doesn't compound, so that when I actually get my job, I don't have like a large amount of money to pay back.
In fact, I've saved up money and I'm doing my master's finally this year.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
That's
so
fantastic.
I'm using what would have been my daughter's college fund to fund myself. I've always made sure that I'm the one paying for their education. I want them to grow up and say, my mom got me educated, you know, not just fed me aloo parathas. And I think that was a bit important to me. But in our business, again, money, and we don't have a fixed salary, right? It's day to day, as you would know. So you've been in Bollywood where 1 week you're trending, Neha Dhupia rocks. The next week you're trending, but it's boycott Neha Dhupia. So, how do you manage to stay financially secure in this volatile situation?
I'm extremely orthodox when it comes to money. So, you know, the big spends that happen are actually for investments and for the future. I've been in the business more than 12 years now, and I feel so secure because it also helps in my further decision making as far as movies are concerned. I'm not grabbing everything because I'm just like, oh, kuch nahi to thode paise ban jayenge. At least you know that it's secure. But the business is so tricky. And again, cut your coat according to your cloth. I know it's a very old saying, especially in 4G schools, if you've been to one, but like, don't go ahead of yourselves, even financially.
No, I live way below my means, way below. I don't spend money on anything. I mean, my family teaches me that why are you working and earning money? You don't spend it on anything. And this suit is probably, I would say, 5.5 years old. And it's working fine, so I'm happy. What about you, Faye? You are a risk taker. You left this huge network, struck out on your own.
Yes.
How did you manage to not make this your personal financial Titanic?
The background is when I started actually working, my first real job was with CNBC TV 18, and I used to report on personal finance, on insurance and mutual funds and, you know, investing money. I'm a saver, and women investors by research are less risk-taking than men. We like to keep our money where we can like feel it, it's strong. So I had saved a lot of money, and because I had sort of like a salaried job for 20 years, there was PF, there was gratuity, there was all of this money that had been set aside. And I said, okay, you know what? I reached a crossroad where I had to choose between my ideals and the big paycheck. And I said, I can look after myself for a bit. So I took that plunge. I ran through my savings for the first 1 year because I had a couple of people who left with me. Okay. And we started working together. So I was paying their salaries because they had to continue running their houses. But after that, we started making money, and we've been okay. I mean, yeah, I didn't get rich, but we didn't get poor either. So it was okay.
See, but that's a great point. If you are conservative when it comes to your portfolio, you can take risks in life because you have that.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I had my investment portfolio. I only broke it when I started Tweak, and I needed something, you know, some startup money because there was no one else investing in me at that point, and I had to invest in myself. So yeah, I think that's really something. I guess we've been working for so long that we've kind of.
So I've always had two pieces of unpopular advice for women who are, you know, who are working on finances. One, I believe that women should have a secret bank account. You know, the lawyers and the marriage counselors will tell you it's a bad idea, but I believe all women should have one secret bank account where you're stashing away money that your husband does not know about. It's super important. It's the modern day equivalent to our mothers hiding money under the paper of their Godrej cupboards and in the atta dabba. That's secret. Yes, secret money that they would just siphon from the family finances and just put away, right, for a rainy day. It's important to have that. And I also think it's like super important to set aside money that will give you the ability to make tough decisions.
Yeah.
Whether it's leaving a job, leaving a bad boss. If you have money, then those decisions become purely practical and emotional, and they're not financial decisions because that's already taken care of.
Strangely enough, I've never had a joint bank account. Never. Not from the day I got married. It's always been separate.
I mean, I do, but you know, it's fun because my money is my money, and then your money is my money.
My wife doesn't agree with that. I keep telling her the same thing. We run separate accounts.
No, we have separate accounts, and then we have like this really sweet house account where I'm just like, he's like, yeah, it works both ways.
Quite impressed by the thought that you have, which is start early, and that's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And many times over, we actually go after this, you know, big return generation, whether it is let's go property or let's do crypto or let's do risky assets. But the play is not about this return. The play is about the time that you actually keep that money invested and the discipline that you put.
And not break it, right?
And not break it.
And you have to keep like using that money to then, you know, circulate it and make more money so that it gives you a higher return. But it takes time. So that's what it is, right?
That's the power of compounding that we use in our parlance. You know, let's say a 20-year-old puts 1,000 rupees and he waits for that money for till 70. He will make 46 times, even at a very, you know, 8% kind of a return. You just take that decision 10 years later. At 30, you invest, it becomes half. I'm very impressed that, you know, if someone could have given me this advice when I was 20 and just kind of be at it with respect to that discipline, that would have been a great thing to do.
My bankers keep using this word discipline.
Yeah.
And apparently that's the
power of compounding. You know,
Yeah.
just don't worry about this R, that the rate of interest that you have to get for yourself. Keep it constant for a longer period of time. And that's why, you know, life insurance as a category just tries to inculcate that behavior of disciplined saving. And for women, another thing that I say, and I kind of bring that point in, is when you do financial planning, always ensure that you are, the moment you step into that decision of starting planning for future, you protect your assets. And that's where the category, our category, the term insurance category comes in, which is a very interesting category. No other category creates an asset on day one. You know, you take a house loan, you also take a liability along with it. And if something has to happen, you neither have the house, it goes away. Whereas a protection design, a term design from an insurance company, on day zero, you pay 1 rupee and suddenly you have an asset of sum assured, which is the value that you can get if something can go wrong. So definitely do that. And that there for women, the difference in pricing is also there. By the way, women can buy term insurance cheaper than men. By almost 15% cheaper for the same age.
Because we live longer than them.
Because you live longer than them also. So that's actuarial answer to it, but absolutely right. And there again, do it early. We have created a product. It's a homemaker term insurance because we value the role a homemaker plays. Traditionally, insurance companies have looked for people who have income proofs behind it. Obviously, homemaker's income proof is the husband's income proof, and there will be a linkage which will get created there. We have created a product where there is no linkage to the husband's income, because we recognize the value of the homemaker and the fact that, you know, the emotional support and the balance that the homemaker kind of brings in. So there is a very recent product that we have created, and hoping to see that, you know, it's quite successful.
And what about another kind of policy that they can
Yeah.
withdraw
So,
from?
Yeah.
There
I was gonna
are
ask
those
something.
policies, those designs which exist. You can buy traditional or unit-linked policies if you want to take more risks. And you asked me this question that what should be the proportion? The younger you are, you can take a little bit more risk, because over a longer horizon, that risk will give better returns. So have more elements of equity in your portfolio than corporate bonds and debt in the portfolio when you're younger. As you kind of keep growing, coming closer, you can start switching it.
So I have three things again, sorry, for women, if I may. One of the problems that we have, forgive me, in our sector, in the financial services sector, is all of these words that we use that are very alienating. You know, equity and long-term debt and this and that and government bonds. What is a government bond? The government, सरकार ने हमसे उधार लिया है, interest देंगे, पैसे वापस देंगे. That's a government bond. And we like to give it to the government because they're not going to default on that loan.
Exactly.
As
Hopefully.
opposed to giving it to Savitri auntie next door who probably not give it back. So government is, so, you know, just there are words that we use in the sector that just alienates everybody.
Exactly.
And so many women turn around and say, yeah, I just don't know what's going on, so I just leave it in a fixed deposit. So I always tell women, first of all, find somebody who will explain things to you in a way that makes you comfortable. Secondly, only invest in something you are comfortable with. It's okay if that's a fixed deposit, but if you feel confident that, okay, this I understand how this works and where this money comes from, then put your money in that. And then slowly build on what makes you comfortable after that. And for women, I believe that it's really important to know the net worth of your entire households. There are a lot of women in our country who don't know how much their husbands are worth, who don't know how much the house that they're living in is worth, who don't know whose name that house is on, what their children stand to inherit in larger families in case something were to happen. This is all information that you have a right to. And we grow up in families that say we should not talk about money.
Yeah.
We should not ask these questions. It's not polite. While these are uncomfortable questions to ask, it's far worse to live without having any of this information.
But there is light at the end of tunnel.
Is there?
And I'll tell you why. We run a proprietary survey actually called India Protection Quotient every year, where we go around, you know, speaking to over 3,000, 4,000 people, you know, representing a reasonable part of India actually across cities. And every progressive year, we have seen women awareness about financial products is increasing. And it is now, at least in our survey, it came at par with how men are aware. The ownership is still a challenge.
Yes.
But absolutely agree, I think women should be aware of all of the things that you just spoke of.
So I find it, there was one piece of research that said single women in India who start working, and now we have more younger women finishing college, starting jobs. And when they make their money, they make decisions about their own money. And then when those same women get married, that number falls. Because they feel that in order to keep the peace in the family, it's okay to allow the husband to start making those decisions. And they're no longer deciding where to invest the money because they're like, chalo, aap kar lo.
But even when they're younger, when I talk to a lot of women across the board, they rely on their fathers first and their brothers to invest the money for them, even though they're earning it. And then, of course, it's the husband. You're right. It is to keep the peace, but it's also practice. I mean, this is what they're used to, you know, relying on this man. And I think one way of breaking it is by educating the next generation, our children.
Yes. And allowing our daughters to see a different model. Like any child who grows up in my house will know that I understand finances better than my husband does. And that's an example I would like to build forward, so that you don't think that if you're a boy that you're the one, you're somehow better placed to make these decisions than girls. I mean, we tell girls that boys are better at mathematics, which is not true.
It's not true.
It's not true at all. And if we are able to do every job on the face of the earth now, why not financial planning?
I mean, when we talk about working women and finances, children, we can't discount that. It doesn't really apply as much to men in that way, because I feel that they are sort of disconnected. Maybe I'm playing into a stereotype, but I feel they're disconnected when it comes to, you know, they leave the house and that's it. Their brain stops engaging with the children. No, really it does. And we are sitting here and there's one part of my head like, what is she doing right now? Is she okay? When is her guitar class? But we start planning for our kids from the minute we have them. I grew up with a single mother. So for me, to rely on anyone else aside from myself is anathema, right? I have to focus on myself. So already I'm thinking, and talking to her about earning money and investing it. So tell me, what have you started planning for your kids?
With Angad and me, we're kind of always working. Like he's just like, "Ha, theek hai." He's very what's the bill for today kind of person. Like, okay, let's clear this and let's get to it later. As opposed to me, I'm just thinking, okay, now college and this and that. And my son's 10 months old. So there's this big Excel where I keep punching in the numbers and then one paycheck comes in. But you never want to touch your obviously your mutual funds, your insurances, your properties, your main corpus. And then there's a much larger retirement plan. That's the person I am, because I'm just like, we've kind of done like multiple insurances and stuff like that, even for the kids and stuff, things are going to mature when they, turn 18, which will help us. It'll be like, this big burden off our shoulders because you don't know which direction they're going to head in. Like right now, of course, she's saying she wants to become a makeup artist, which is great. She could be the next Bobby Brown of India and I'd be very proud of her. But you don't know what she wants to go ahead and do. And likewise for, our sons and,
So, I mean, the top 3 reasons why any of the financial product sell is actually Indians' concern for their child's education.
Yes.
Actually, child's marriage is also still.
I'm not paying for it.
I'm not paying for that.
I'm talking about the masses.
No,
I'm not talking about
Of course.
child education, child marriage.
I'm hoping our children get married the way we got married.
I used to find it really offensive when I ran a personal finance advisory show for 8 years. Okay, people would write in with questions, and it would always be my son's education or my daughter's marriage. What the hell?
That's right.
That's really offensive. First of all, don't sons get married? One. And educate your daughters, right?
Sad.
We have Indian families that sell homes to fund weddings, which means that you are selling a lifetime asset that you've taken an entire lifetime to build for a party.
That's too much, actually.
That's
her comment, Chadar se paw.
Yeah, you should always maintain. Like, I mean, of course, ask me when I go to like a showroom, and it's a very cool thing in our business to carry expensive handbags and find me carrying one. Never ever. Just like it doesn't make any sense to me.
You're just saving everything.
No, not saving
A little
everything.
bit like me.
Once in a while I spend on a nice Japanese meal or something. Sushi is just my thing. But apart from that, no. Like and why not? And I feel like there's a lot of people say कि वो तुम तो actor हो तुम्हें stay free में मिल जाएगा. I'm just going to clarify because I get to hear that a lot. तुम्हें ये Insta पे डाल देंगे. उसके लिए भी तो हमने कमाई की है to make that corpus or get that following or to everything
but
is
also
value
what
and
they're
wealth.
saying that we worked for 30 years to be able to do that.
Yes.
Right? We put in those. It's not this 15 minutes that we're giving you. It's the 30 years that we
So
put in.
the way I see it is everything you spend on can be divided into appreciating and depreciating. And you need to do both. You have to buy a car that will depreciate 20% as soon as you roll it out of that showroom, but you need a car.
Thank you, I'm about to buy a car. I'm so torn. I'm like, should I gift myself a car this birthday? And
But you need a car. But as long as you know that you
Say yes,
also need
somebody.
the appreciating stuff on the side, then you're okay.
We are a small segment, right, of women who are out there and managing our own finances. You have been interacting with women across the country. What do you think holds them back from being financially independent?
So I think, see, right now, so there are different statistics that we look at because it's such a big country and there are different types of women in the country. Those who work in offices, those who work in people's homes, those who work in fields. According to data, the recent data that I was looking at, less than 25% of the married women in India have jobs. 98% of the married men in India have jobs. So there's something taking women out of the workforce. That, to begin with, takes away their financial independence because as soon as you don't have your own money, you're automatically and then it's the way our families are structured, where the dads always make those decisions, and then you go forward, and then your husband makes those decisions, and we have this karta darta idea where there's a head of a family who makes the financial decisions, and everybody just, lives around it. I think as we move forward and we go into smaller families and more, nuclear units in our cities, at least, women are becoming stronger voices. Women are working more. As soon as women have more money in their hands and they're able to make those decisions in their households, we'll see stronger, a bigger change in that. But research from the financial services sector tells us that more women are investing, more women are making decisions. Women are better investors than men, all around.
Of course,
I'm
yeah.
sure.
Because
I'm not
and do you know
fighting
why?
that for a second.
You know why? Because apparently, and correct me if I'm wrong, and this is research across the world, but also in India, men tend to go more on what is hot right now in the stocks
Yeah.
and the tips, and they'll brag about it at a party. अरे यार मैंने इस stock में डाला पता है मतलब
Yeah.
50%.
Invest in
They'll-
crypto and NFTs.
Yes,
Yeah.
crypto and all of these things, because that's the buzz and that's what they're talking about at their parties. Women never do.
No.
Once we get a plan, we stick to that plan. And that is actually the thing that makes the whole difference. Do you stick to the plan or not? And we're not bad risk takers, we're risk averse, which is a different thing.
Exactly.
So it's like driving, right? So men are more likely to total a car in an accident, and a woman is more likely to dent her car 20 times. So you will come back with 20 dents, but a car that is still functioning. But one accident a man is in, and boom, that car has to now be sent to the dump yard.
Completely agree.
So that's
Why
the
is,
behavior.
why is this line it's so wrong, but it's so reassuring?
That's the behavior
it's so
with
wrong.
finances
I mean,
as
now
well.
I'm thinking of all the dents. And I'm like, thinking of all the jabs taken at me. Why can't you parallel park properly? And I'm just like, well, now I'm going to go back and be like, yeah,
This is the analogy you're going to.
yeah. Every time I'm just going to be like, there's the statistic.
So we were talking about women in the workforce, and I wanted to ask you, what about Max Life and representation of women in the firm itself? What is that like?
So I'll speak out a few things actually. I think first it's important to see the representation of the board. Before even the Companies Act came into picture, which made it mandatory for women to be on the board, Max Life actually has been having board members which are women. And that's largely because of the diversity in opinion that they kind of bring. And our board member is actually one of them who is there is an actuary, so she adds immense value. The second set of people, which is the employees, we are at 25% women. We are aspiring to keep inching it up. We have actually targets which we have declared to the market. In a few years' time, we want to take this number to 35% current levels. I think though the journey only rests when you become 50% actually. More importantly, our advisor base, the people who go out and kind of reach out to customers to distribute our products, there this number is around 42%. So we have a lot of housewives and homemakers who actually represent us, and interestingly, they are the most productive also. More importantly, as a policy decision, whenever a woman goes on maternity, that's the period where the break actually happens the most. And when the women try to come back in, there is a lot of disillusionment which also kind of sets in addition to the pressures at home. We have a policy that for women who return back, their job, what they were doing when they left, will be held. The same job will be provided. The incentive, bonuses and R&R will be kept at the same level as how they had exited the firm. So there will be no dilution done on that. And no one can kind of take a decision otherwise. So these are some small steps that we're taking.
So you're talking about women and maternity leave, but a lot of things are changing in the world.
Yeah.
At this point, women may choose not to have children or to have them much later. How are you keeping up with the changing needs of your women consumers?
Now, changing need of women consumers, I think the product that we spoke of, the Homemaker product, is one specific thing that kind of comes to my mind. As the women are becoming more financially independent in decision making, it's actually approaching them directly, creating mechanisms, targeted channels to reach out to those women. There's some efforts that we are actually putting together. So these are small steps. I wouldn't say that there is.
So now we need some tips. One financial tip that you'd like to give everyone right now.
Obviously, the main tip that we've talked about so far is start as early as you can. And as early as you can be tomorrow if you're 50 years old. It's better to start than not to start at all. And another thing that I've always found, a lot of people say that, oh, I'm waiting until I have this much money, then I'll start investing. But you can invest 500 rupees a month. It's still worth it to start now.
What about you, Neha?
Save for a rainy day, because you don't know how long it's going to rain for, and you don't know how hard it's going to pour. So that's one piece of advice that I'd like to give everyone. And the second one, of course, start investing, investing early, investing, even $500 if you can. And we also, as a society, like as Indians, as much as we say that हमारे पास पैसा नहीं है, सबके पास थोड़ा पैसा कहीं ना कहीं बचा हुआ है. So use that थोड़ा पैसा and take that mild risk, I would imagine, and because you're taking it for yourself, and it's always going to pay off.
I would take one step back and say that start working as early as possible.
Yes.
And work till, people have to kick you out.
And never, and I would
quit.
I would imagine they never use the word retirement because, and Twinkle, you know this, and we didn't think that we'll be able to work for like such a long time because everyone was just like, okay, acha theek hai, ab heroine ka kaam khatam ho gaya, so once you hit like 26,
30 and they send you off to your senior citizens.
But the thing is, the understanding of whoever they are, is changing because we are changing that understanding for them. So just continue to work, and I mean, let's not worry about retirement.
Amrit, what about you?
My tips would be, firstly, believe in yourself. You are the difference. So, inspire to maximize the value of your lives, whether it is sending your kids to best schools, aspire for it. And as she said, there is always that money that can be found for if you have an aspiration set for yourself. Start early and definitely buy a protection cover young. The difference that can make to your lives is quite a lot. So as we say in Max Life Protection, front foot pay.
Nicely done.
Should we say that line? What's that line? Max Life Protection.
Front foot pay.
Yes. So yeah.
I needed to ensure my feet. I'm constantly breaking on my feet, so I need more protection than anyone else. But thank you for sharing all your experiences and this great advice. And I hope it inspires women to protect themselves financially. Like they all said, front foot pay.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Always.